Hello, I'm going to explain the difference between your pages and posts in your website. So if you're going into edit, you're going to start off in your dashboard, and over here on the left hand side is where your menu is. So pages are all of these pages that don't generally change. So home, services, about us, um, blog, and contact us. Those are all your static pages. Now, the difference here between pages and posts are that your posts are your blog entries. Um, so I clicked on posts, and in here, these are all of your different blogs. Now, these are interesting because they actually feed into a page. So if we go over to your blog page, this is where all these posts are appearing. And I can show you why that is. Um, right now, you only have one category and it's just articles. But in the future, especially if we're going to start working toward some search engine optimization where we have keywords that we want to focus on, we're going to want to focus on some different categories so that you're writing for certain keywords, for certain searches that people are performing. So, but for right now, we have one category and it's called articles. Let's hop back over here. I'm going to open up one of your posts. Okay, so the back end of your WordPress site looks this way due to the theme that it has. WordPress is just like your desk, whereas your theme are the tools you have to use. So if you've worked in WordPress before, you may or may not have seen themes that work in this way or look like this. They can all look very different, and especially if you were using one of the themes that just come with WordPress, it probably looks very different because it has a lot more tools available to you. So in this post, over on the right hand side here, we have your categories. And as you know, we only have one category right now, so articles is checked. Now, why does this matter? When you're creating a post, you want to make sure that you have a category because, and I'll show you why. We'll go over to our page here. Now, this is our blog page where we've set up a blog feed. Now, I'll get into all these other sections in just a minute. But down here in this container, we have a blog feed. Now, if we click the little pen to edit, this is where we choose what the blog is going to look like. Right now it's set up in a grid layout. You choose the number of columns, how you want it spaced out. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you can actually choose which categories are feeding into this particular blog feed. So this says leave blank for all feeds, which works for us because we only have one category. But if you had another page that was specific to a certain industry, let's say HVAC companies, and you wrote all sorts of blogs that related to HVAC companies and you created a category for that, you could say that you want a blog feed just for the posts that are categorized for the HVAC industry. So that's why your categories are important. As you start to blog more and more, it's a great way to organize them. Right now you only have 9 blogs, so that's a little bit easier to manage. But if you start blogging on a regular basis, you'll want to be able to see, how many in each category you have and be able to put them in the different places on your site that would be the most beneficial for you. So the pages and posts in the backend themselves actually do work the same, though, in setting them up. So, in all of these different sections, you have what are called elements. I'm going to click this element right here. So this is how I would add something to the website. So this is where you have all of these different tools available to you. And you'll just have to get to know them a little bit. If you actually go to the Avada theme website, you can read about what all of these different elements do, and they'll show you some examples. So if you're really interested in learning the ins and outs of how the Avada theme works and what all of these elements do, that's a good place to go for it. But otherwise, I'm always here to help you with it. And, you know, if that's not something you really want to get into, I'm happy to just do whatever it is that you need. So if I'm in here and I know that I want to add a blog feed, I'm going to click blog. And then it's going to open up that screen that we saw before, where we choose what it looks like, how many posts per page, and all of those details in relation to how your blog feed is going to look on that page. So I don't want to add this because we already have that, so I'm going to cancel out. But all of these different sections focus on, they're based on those elements. So let's see, this one, this is just a regular text block. So this is where it says Venture Forward Strategies. And this is the blog page. So it's this right here. And let's see, cancel out. Right below here, it looks like we're using the title element. We have it set to rotating. It has all sorts of effects in here. But this is where, let's see, it says the word blog. Like if you remember when you said you didn't think we needed the period in there, it was in here where I came in to remove the period after blog so that here it doesn't have the period anymore. Okay, so then in the back end, everything is divided into these different sections. See how there are these blue headers? These are containers. So we've got columns and containers. So let's say that we wanted to add something in this top container. If we wanted something that was right underneath this word blog before the blog feed starts, right here, we would come over and look, okay, where does the blog feed start? Well, we can see that the blog feed is here in this container. The title is in this container. And sometimes I have to play around a little bit with this to determine if I need a new container or if I just need a new column. So I'll usually start off with a new column. It kind of depends on what it is that you're adding in. And, you know, it's kind of something you just have to toy with to see what kind of spacing you need. It really depends on what you're adding. So let's say, let's see, what could we want here? What if you wanted a testimonial right here, just for the heck of it? We would want to add in, let's say we wanted to do 2 testimonials left and right next to each other. So an element is not exactly going to do what we want usually. So we can add columns. And this is where it shows you, you know, how many columns you're going to make. This is always editable, of course, but just to start off, we're saying, okay, we want 2 right next to each other. So we'll do that like this. And here you can add in your element. Let's see, we were doing a testimonial, right? Here they are. So we click testimonial, and this is where you go in and you actually put in all your information. So there's a lot of setting in here regarding what it looks like. But then over on this left-hand side is where you can actually put in the information about the person who gave the testimonial and their quote. Now, this little box right here that is a plus sign, this is because this particular element works in a way where if you had lots of testimonials, you could really stack them up right here, and then they would scroll by. So that's why it has testimonial speed right here. You can choose how long a testimonial stays up on the screen before it switches over to the next one. And you can just kind of decide whether you want your testimonials to scroll like that or if you just want one in at a time that just stays up all the time. So in order to edit these or edit anything in this version of WordPress, you're going to use this little pencil or pen. The trash can, of course, gets rid of things, and this little 2 pieces of paper is a clone. It says clone item, so that is where you would create 2 if you wanted 2 in here, or you wanted 3. So these are all exactly the same now. So let's say for this first one, if you went in there and you edited everything about it, you picked certain icons, and you knew that you wanted those icons, those colors, you wanted those things again and again, then that's when you would clone it and clone it so that you wouldn't have to keep changing all of the settings within each one of these if you want them all to match. I'll show you what I mean. So I just opened this by clicking on the little pen tool, and this is where we would put in the name of the person for a testimonial, choose whether we're showing an avatar for male, female, or adding an image, or none, of course. We don't have any more options than that. That's just what they give us at this point. So I like to add in images if possible. If I can find a picture of someone or something nice, then that's where I would put it in. When I clicked on image, it opened up this thing right here where I would upload an image. Now, I did do a couple of your testimonials. So I took some pictures from LinkedIn pages, and I think from someone on Facebook. So if I, wanted to put in someone's picture there, I would have uploaded it in here. I would choose their picture and then insert it in the page. So in this testimonial, this will be the picture that shows up. There are further settings. If you want to list what company they're in, if you want it to link to their company, and this is where you would actually put the testimonial itself down here at the bottom. And this part actually does work a lot like a Word document. I mean, it doesn't have all of the settings that Word does, but it essentially works that way. I'm going to cancel out of here because we don't want to add that in. Now, one thing about this is, and this is, again, something that even I have to toy with sometimes when I'm working on a layout. Sometimes if I do a side-by-side thing like this, it ends up not looking quite the way I want it to. And so there's another option within the elements that you can try. So I'm going to get rid of these 2. So if I go in elements, there is also nested columns. So it's like the columns that we just did, but when I choose this, half and half, it still is within a column that is a full screen all the way, but it's keeping them together. It has nested them within that one column. So when you're looking at the responsive designer, how it behaves on mobile or on tablets, sometimes this will fix an issue that I'm having if things are not aligning the way that I want them to. This is another way to put in those same things if I wanted those 2 testimonials to be next to each other, but if they weren't aligning the way I wanted to, this is another way to try it. Okay, so let's back out of there. Let's see, is there anything else? There's lots to learn in here, so I'm always open to questions. Oh, one thing I want to point out is in this theme, you are not able to, within the page, edit the header or the footer, okay? So that is in a completely different section, and I'll create another video that covers that. So the reason that you're not able to edit those things within the background of the pages themselves is because these are global settings. So we have these same headers and footers showing up on all of the pages. So that way, when you make a change, it changes on all the pages, and you're not trying to go through every single page that you have. Now, of course, you don't have that many pages, but as you grow, you might have a lot more pages, and you might even end up with a mega menu. You might end up with a drop down menu that has, 20, 30 items in it someday. And so that is the reason for building in global headers and footers so that you're not having to go through the entire website just to change out something like if you change your domain, you change the email address, or you want to add in social media icons or something, you wouldn't want to have to go through every page. One other thing I wanted to point out with both pages and posts, I have a plugin in here that allows you to duplicate one that already exists. And this is good because if you just start with add new, you're not going to have any of the formatting that all of these pages already have. So if I know that I want something that's similar to the About Us page, I can click this, duplicate this, and it will, there we go. It creates a duplicate page. It's still called About Us, but it marks it as draft, so it's not live. And then when I go into edit, this is where I would change the title of it, and I would change the permalink, which is the URL. So you do that by clicking edit. I don't know, let's say you were doing a case study page and you wanted to base it off of the About Us page. I would change this to case studies, both the title and the permalink. And then you can go about, building the inside of these pages however you want to. It will still have the global header and footer because the settings that the About Us page had will be existent in this duplicate page that you made. So I'm going to back out of here and I'm not going to keep that. I'm deleting a page. I'm going to trash it. So goodbye draft. Okay. It works the exact same way with posts. So if you were going in your posts and you wanted to do a new blog post, it would be easiest to keep the same formatting if you use the duplicate this link, and then works exactly the same way. You just go in, when you have the duplicate one, you change the title, change the permalink, and then you can edit from there. Now, the other thing with the blogs is I know that you really liked the images that I put in, and those are feature images. So over here on the right side, there is the feature image section where I added those in. Now, if I wanted to change this image, I would click on it. And this goes into our media library where all of the images are kept. So if you were going to download a new image, you wanted something that hadn't been used on the website before, my recommendation is always to look at the existing image and see what size it is so that then you can create the new picture in the exact same pixels so that, it's not throwing anything out of whack. It's just replacing the old one exactly. I like to resize things usually in Canva because it is super fast and simple. I just make a canvas that is the exact size of the image that I want for the website, and then I can upload my photo or find one in Canva, throw it into the canvas, and then just download it and it's ready to go. It's also really nice because when you get it from Canva, it's usually in a pretty small file size so that you're not loading down your website with a really heavy images that are going to slow your site down. So that's usually what I do. Over in this media library, I have, you have this upload files, which is where you can upload those images that you've prepared to put into the feature image. And that's how that goes. So I'm going to leave it. I don't need to actually make any changes. I feel like there was something else I wanted to cover. Oh, I just wanted to just kind of explain plugins. So plugins in WordPress are sort of features that you need in order to give the functionality to your website that you need it to have. So themes like Avada, which is the one that we're using, it has a couple of plugins that are required, such as the Avada Builder and Avada Core. So those are the things that actually give us all of those tools that allow us to do all of this formatting within each page. But then there are other things that we like to use, and I can see that I'm gonna add in some. Oh no, WordFence is already in there. WordFence is a security plugin, which we always like to make sure to have. But Ninja Forms is my favorite Forms plugin, and that is how we created the form on your Contact Us page. The reason it's my favorite plugin is because it has a database attached to it so that whenever you do get an entry from someone on your website, it stores it. So you can always go in later and do an export to an Excel spreadsheet of all of the contacts you've gotten. There are other forms, especially with the free versions, that will send you the email and it's fine, but it doesn't save that information for later. So if for whatever reason you didn't get the email or the form, wasn't working or something, you can't get that information back. So that's why I like to use Ninja Forms. Over here on the left-hand side is where you'll find the different tools that we've used for your website. So here's the Ninja Forms section. And we just have the one form in your site. I don't see here. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't want to get into how to edit the form right now, but essentially it's in here. And I would definitely recommend YouTube tutorials if you want to learn how to edit Ninja Forms, but it's something I can run through with you as well. But over here on the left-hand side where it says submissions is where you would get a list of all of the contacts that entered in their information. Of course, right now we don't have any submissions left or yet, so there's nothing to show. If you are going to add users, if you want other people to be able to log in and edit things, which I don't recommend having too many people, but if you had an intern or a staff person who wanted to make periodic updates or post blogs for you, for instance, you would go into the user section, and this is where you can add a new user, and you would just start with add new and then put in their information, and it'll shoot them out an email so that they can log in. I think I will stop this video here, but I'm happy to answer any more questions that you have about these things, and then of course I'm happy to help with the more technical things, but I think that this would be a good place for you to start. So thanks for watching.